everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. It has been a while since I've done one of these, but it's been busy. I will put it that way. The Switch launch happened. That the person you're hearing saying "yeah" is Shawn Long of, I would say, is it Fuchsia's GG? I already was unsure of Ilya last time, but should I say Fuchsia's GG? Should I say Nintendo Fuchsia's? Should I say just your YouTube channel? I say all of them.
Oh, all of them. Yeah, you can never have too many.
So what it is? So for the people who don't know what it is that you do, you have your YouTube channel, which that is, I always forget the name. That's terrible.
RGT85.
RGT85. I always like watching your discussions on stuff because you seem very well spoken on those issues.
Yeah, those are always my best videos. I think just because I'm just talking and rambling.
Yeah, one of the videos I think has been watched the most is your experience as a GameStop employee, which was super interesting to watch.
Yes, I did. That was actually just a random sort of thing that I had done, and it ended up working really well for the channel. So yeah, I got a lot of views and whatnot on that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. But before that, you even did a whole bunch of stuff on Nintendo Fuchsia's Den, and especially with working with one Jason Lapine.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of I wouldn't say that channel died or anything, but I mean, we kind of just decided to focus on different things. But now, I mean, it's primarily just like for reviews and things of that nature on that channel. Which I mean is good. I mean, really, there wasn't, with the lack of Nintendo stuff, it was hard to do anything. Jason didn't have a 3DS capture card until a couple months, like 2-3 months ago. Wow. So with nothing on the Wii U, I mean, there was really nothing to do on the channel. So yeah, I mean, we still do stuff on there too, but I mean, I probably have put more of a emphasis on the personal channel.
Yeah, I think that both of you have, which is totally okay, but you are the more successful one, so who cares?
Exactly. I'm actually very close to passing the Nintendo Enthusiast channel with my personal channel. But stupid Jason's at PAX East right now, and he ran into CDN and Triforce, and so he got like a shout out on their vlog. And I think they're actually going to join us for a show, like one of our Class versus Crass episodes.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. That'll help the channel. I mean, I don't care. I want all of them to be successful. So,
well, talking about CDN and Triforce, like I said at the beginning, the Nintendo Switch happened, which I haven't really discussed since I did an episode with Ilya like 3 weeks ago, so it feels sort of weird now being in a post-launch era where I just look at the right there and see the Switch sitting in its dock.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's definitely a different atmosphere in the world of Nintendo stuff now, a better atmosphere.
Yeah. What games did you end up picking up? I'm surely you have Zelda, right?
yeah. I got Zelda. I got Bomberman. I got Blaster Master. Mm-hmm. And last night I bought one of the Neo Geo games, King of Fighters, just to try it out, to see how the emulation was or whatever. And I got I Am Setsuna. I imported the physical version of that.
Nice.
I'm still waiting for that to come in now.
Nice.
I think it's actually coming in tomorrow, so that'll be fun to play this weekend.
Absolutely. I think with I Am Setsuna, for me, it's more like a popcorn RPG. Like, you play it for a couple of hours and put it down and come back again. But it's a perfect one of those.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing I really like about the Switch is I am the type of person where like a console RPG, like I just find myself not having the time to play them anymore, but I always play RPGs on the 3DS. I don't know, just like laying in bed and like, oh, I can't sleep. Let me just play this for a little while. And then a little while turns into a couple hours, whatever.
Right.
But I always liked portable RPGs for some reason. And now that like you can actually have, console quality portable RPGs, I think that's really gonna like I'll actually be able to like play through this and finish it and all that stuff. So that'll be nice.
You sound cocky and confident. I like it. I've been mostly, I would say mostly, but the last 2-3 days I've been spent playing Breath of the Wild. And my lord, that game, I can really admit I'm not the biggest Zelda fan in the world. I think it's maybe in my top 5, but definitely not in my top 3 as it comes to Nintendo's franchises. But man, is that game engrossing and taking over my life in a way I didn't expect.
I mean, I probably put, since launch, I've probably put 50 to 60 hours into it. And I've literally accomplished, as far as like main story, all that stuff, I've literally accomplished nothing. Like I've done one divine beast in my whole playthrough time. Like I was very glad that I didn't have to review that game, because I didn't want to review it because I felt like I would have to like rush through it and stuff. Whereas now I'm just like playing at my own pace, like, and yeah, I mean it's an insane game. It's a very non-traditional Nintendo game, which makes it interesting.
Right. I think the first question I would ask regarding like Breath of the Wild to anybody is, what is the first thing you did when leaving the Great Plateau?
I went. Where did I go? I went into the field and started going towards where you do that memory, and where the two rocks are, the two big pillars where you get that memory. And I just explored that area for like a very long time, and then like that huge rock creature came up and I was like, nope. And then I didn't realize that he's actually pretty easy. But it was funny because the Switch came out last Friday or whatever. Right. I didn't get an early one. Jason did, I didn't. And so I went to my Best Buy to pick it up, and my mom actually flew in town that same weekend. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be honest with you, we're probably just gonna sit at the house and you're gonna watch me play this game. And she was like, all right, whatever. But like she even enjoyed watching it because it's just such a unique experience and whatnot. And she was amazed at how, it's all, there's a million ways to do one different thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it. When I left the Great Plateau, my first intention was, let me see where this quest line ends of going to Inpa and getting the information dump, right? But then I saw those two big mountains, and the first thing I thought, you know what, screw this, I'm going to climb it. Let's see what goes. And then I saw a couple of shrines, saw another shrine, and another shrine, and that took for another good hour, and I was like, oh yeah, the tower's over there, let's go to that tower. Oh, there are a few camps over here, let's battle those goblins. and we're like 6 hours later, it's like, what am I doing with my life?
Well, I mean, what's interesting is, like, I think every single person you ask will have a different, a different deviation. Whereas, in your traditional Zelda games, like, it's the same path. Like, you all go on the same path. It's not that it's a bad path or anything, but it's all, very predetermined, where this is just, like, completely different.
For sure. One thing I did is I dropped an apple close to an enemy, walked away and see what he will do, and actually picked it up and started eating it, which was hilarious in its own right. Like, there are so many intricate details that I really like about this game, and I think it's so very, very cleverly designed in a way, again, that I didn't really expect it to.
Yeah, I mean, and the AI is actually really good, and like they're very smart and resourceful, and you don't necessarily think of Zelda games having, advanced AI or whatever, but it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that game, well, I'm not sure. My thing is, I'm not very cautious when it comes to giving like perfect praise, and the perfect game in my mind does not exist, right? I mean, there are masterpieces, those exist, and if they go beyond their flaws, then they would be worth a 10 in my book. But I am getting to the point where I would ask that question to myself: do I think it's a perfect game?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the game got a lot of flack, for lack of a better term, because people were saying, oh, it's not a 10 out of 10. You have frame rate issues and whatnot. And like, I actually did a video talking about if the game is, quote unquote overrated. And at the end of it, I was like, no, I mean, it's so unique that the
Right.
positive far outweighs the negative, because there is no such thing as a perfect game. And so people actually in the comments were trying to tell me perfect games. And they were like, well, what about Pong? Pong is a perfect game. I was like, well, the graphics suck. There's no music, and the controls can be kind of loose. Well, Tetris on the Game Boy, that's a perfect game. I was like, yeah, there's only 3 music tracks on there. I mean, that's not very varied. Like it's all subjective. Like nothing is perfect. Nothing is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
If you look at it from a strictly performance and all encompassing standpoint, like that's not how video game reviews should really be, in my opinion.
And I don't think that many of those video game sites claim it's a perfect game, because when you look at like the subtitles for 10s these days, for IGN, for all the crap it gets, it still says masterpiece. It doesn't say perfect video game.
Right.
So I think it's perfectly understandable in the age that we live in that we accept that the perfect video game really doesn't exist, but that we just look at the good and just accept a game for what it is.
Exactly, and that's what people need to be more focused on and realize, like, there will never be a perfect game. Stop thinking there will be. Like, it's just crazy.
Absolutely. One game that I heard you picked up, and I was listening to your selection, was Super Bomberman R. And I was curious on your thoughts on that specific game.
I am a very big Bomberman fan. I was very excited for the game, and I mean, it's not. It could have been a lot better. But see, to me, my main thing is, like, it's Bomberman. It's Bomberman. Like, it's fun.
Right.
There is input lag online that Konami is fixing. Sometimes it's hardly noticeable. Sometimes it's really bad. But they said they are fixing that. If it was a game that came out a year into the Switch's library, or 2 years into the Switch's library, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. But as a launch title, like, people, if you look at the history of launch titles, there's always kind of games that are like quirky, and you're like, okay, well, it worked at the launch. It probably wouldn't have worked, 2-3 years down the road, but for the launch, it worked. And that's definitely what the game is. It's definitely a launch game. It'll always be looked at as a launch game, but for what it is, I mean, it's not bad. Probably, it's $50 in the United States.
Right.
I paid $41 with Amazon Prime. For $40, like, I was happy with it. I think $50, maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it quite as much, as far as from a critical standpoint. But it's not bad. I think I actually ended up reviewing it for Nintendo Enthusiasts in a written review. I think I gave it like a 6.5 or 7, somewhere around there. Like, it's good. It's not great. It's not crap. It's good.
Yeah. For me, I'm on a similar page. For me, I would be slightly closer to a 6 because I didn't really enjoy the story mode all that much. I mean,
see, I did. That's what was weird. I didn't care about the story itself,
right?
But I really liked the presentation. I loved the little cartoon animated stuff. It just reminded me of like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And like that resonated with me. Like, I could care less. Like, it's a Bomberman game. Like, who cares about the story? But like, sure. I like the presentation. That actually was a strong point for the game, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't think the levels were all that fun.
Oh no, not really.
But yeah, that was my experience with that game in a nutshell. I didn't really play all that much online multiplayer, mostly because I don't think you can play with friends yet, right? or can you?
No, you can.
Okay.
Because there's two things. There's like the sort of ranked mode and then the free play mode. And if you do the free play mode, you can play with friends and whatnot.
Okay. Huh. I didn't play much online. I mostly played it local and then played through the entirety of the story mode. I didn't really enjoy that, honestly. I would have hoped I liked it, because especially I like those N64 games and what have you, but it didn't really click for me with this one. I think that the bosses particularly were kind of hit and miss, especially the first one. You already have to think about, what exactly am I doing? The game is not really giving me anything to work with here.
Right.
And then you just tinker around, and eventually you figure it out, which is not usually the way that video games are designed anymore. But it was sort of frustrating.
Yeah, I kind of like the boss battles though. I thought they were kind of fun because you had to sort of like figure out what the weak point was. But I mean, that's, it goes either way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I didn't. The first part of the boss battles was kind of like, that was more or less, I would just get lucky, and I would try to figure out like I would just throw a massive amount of bombs and be like, okay, hit this guy so I can get to the big portion of it. But once it was like the big character and you're just running around in the free area. I like that. I thought that was fun.
Rad. You did pick up Blaster Master Zero yesterday.
Actually, I got it a few days early. I've been playing it.
Cool. I got it at the Japanese launch, so I likely played it even more than you did. But
probably, yeah.
Yeah, but are you enjoying that too?
Oh, I love that game. That game.
I am too. Oh my god!
Like, Jason is at PAX East right now, and the Blaster Master team like tweeted out that they were there, and they had T-shirts, and they're like, it's like a box art of an NES game for Blaster Master Zero on a T-shirt, and I was like, Jason, get your ass over to that booth and get me that shirt. And he was like, where are they? And I sent him the coordinates, and he sent me a picture of the map. He's like, all right, they're in this upper left-hand corner. I'm going now. And he went, and he got himself a shirt, and he got me a shirt, and I was like, yes,
awesome.
Yeah, that game is so good. It's so good. It's so cheap. It's $10.
Right.
It's so good. It looks so good. Mm-hmm. And the HD Rumble is really good in that game. Like, I didn't get 1-2 Switch. I haven't played 1-2 Switch. I hear that the HD Rumble is pretty interesting in that, like, really good.
Yeah, it is. But
like when Sophia like takes off during that cutscene, and it's just I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
I was gonna mention that too. You were thinking about the exact same thing I was. Oh my god,
oh man,
that game feels like the perfect follow-up would have been for that Game Boy Color game, because the stuff that came after in namesake of Blaster Master wasn't all that great.
Right.
I didn't enjoy like the original PlayStation game. I thought that the one on WiiWare was pretty underwhelming. But this one actually feels nice. The controls have a nice sense of weight to it, and how you switch between like the two aspects, like the over-the-top view and the side-scrolling view, feels like strictly old school in a way that feels like professionally done.
Yeah, I was very excited for that game, and I had high hopes. But like even like my friends who aren't like super big Blaster Master fans that got the game, like everyone's, because people were like hitting me up on Twitter, and they were like, should I get it when it comes out Thursday? I'm like, yes, just trust me, yes. And like every single person that has bought it has said like, oh my god, this is so good, thank you. And I'm just like, dude, I told you.
Yeah, the moment I played for that first area and did a couple of overhead levels was like, yeah, I'm feeling this. Oh my god, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, like it's really good. Oh, I got Fast RMX too.
Fast
Completely
RMX.
forgot about that.
Yeah, that game is beautiful.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the Wii U one, but like this one, I just like it more because I like the adjustments they made to the gameplay. Like
Right.
I never really, like the trigger buttons, they make your car, like slide more, so you sort of drift. And like on the Wii U version, I never could really get the feeling down to where I was super comfortable with them. And then when I played the Switch version, I was like, either I got really good at this game or they adjusted it to make it smoother. And like that, I really appreciated that. Like I thought that was a big plus.
I think they definitely improved that. Also, the difficulty curve is slightly friendlier.
Yes.
Because, especially even on the beginning modes on the Wii U game, it wasn't really all that forgiving. And that's a staple that they carried over from the original WiiWare game, which that game wasn't really forgiving either. But that was even more limited in how much they could do. But back then it was pretty impressive that a time trial they had like 12 tracks and like a mission mode, which they never brought back to the Wii U and the Switch game, which I do think is sort of disappointing in its own. But ultimately, yeah, it's really the best edition of that game, because the amount of cops you have and the amount of content, including the DLC of the Wii U game, the original tracks from the Wii U game, and plus the tracks that are exclusive to Fast RMX, it makes for a package that feels like complete in every single way. And like it's nice to play, especially on the handheld screen. Playing it on the handheld screen was mind blowing to me.
Yeah, same. And it's funny because in the back of my mind, like the past few days, all I've been thinking about is, the 3DS is still a thing, and I'm still gonna have to review 3DS games. Like, how? after I've experienced the greatness of this screen, how can I go back to this 240p screen? Like,
I literally reviewed a 3DS game this last week.
Like, it's just a culture. Like, I haven't touched my 3DS since since the Switch came out. I just haven't had the urge to, I guess. But
sure.
I know something's gonna end up coming in the mail from Nintendo, and I'm like, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, I have no problem with the 3DS, because for me it's still two very different entities in a way.
Sure.
Because the input mechanisms are different. You still have that button touchscreen and then the 3D display, but also the more clamshell design, which allows you to take it more on the go than a Switch, because with Switch you definitely need a bag to carry it around with you.
Yeah, I just I got the Nintendo Switch starter kit from PDP, the Mario one that has like the stars and blocks and mushrooms on it.
Nice.
It's not a purse, it's a European carry-all.
European carry. That's the perfect way to describe the kind of bags we use, a European carry-all.
Well, that was a Seinfeld episode where Jerry got one of those and people kept saying, "Oh, nice purse." And he's like, "It's not a purse, it's a European carry-all." And so like that was like the whole joke of the episode. And like when I got it, like even like I did a quick video on it and people keep commenting, it's a Mario purse. I'm like, it's a European carry-all, okay? But yeah, it's a nice little case. One thing is funny that I was taking off the stuff for the screen protector, which I didn't. The screen protector was the last thing I cared about. Like it came with a cleaning cloth, a nice case, earbuds, and Joy-Con like grips that you attach and you grip it to the back of the Joy-Con. And that actually ended up being one of my favorite things about the whole package. Like, I really like those Joy-Con grips. Huh. A, because they're comfortable, and they're bright red, and they're like Mario. And I just have the standard gray Switch. So it's like, bam, it makes it real colorful all of a sudden, which I thought was really cool. But the screen protector, the freaking, like there's a sticker you had to peel off for the front and the back sticker got stuck, and like I never could get it off, and I was just like, okay, well, the screen protector sucks, but everything else is cool. It's only $30. You should probably check one out.
Slightly quickly going back to Fast RMX, because the one thing I want to mention is I I have 2 Switches here. I got one from Nintendo and one I already picked up from pre-order, so I ended up with 2 Switches, which is sort of insane. But what I did is I downloaded the Fast RMX on both, and I got a friend over the next day, and he sat here in my office chair while I was playing on the big television, and we were playing local multiplayer that way, which felt pretty incredible, and that made me more excited for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh yes, I can't wait for that game, dude. I saw they released that new features trailer or whatever today, and I was just like, oh, I need this. And it's crazy that it's coming out next month. Like, it's so soon.
Yeah, it's coming out April 28th?
Yeah, I think it's his 26th, 28th, something like that. Let's see here. But yeah, like, you're not, we were both diehard Wii U owners. We're not used to, 2 quality games back to back in the middle of the, spring.
Well, that's the tagline for the start of 2017. I didn't expect this many quality games. Please stop. Yeah. Because no matter which platform you're on, except for Xbox One, Xbox One.
Oh my god, that thing is. Oh man, I love the meme where it's like a PS4 and a Switch are like walking down the road. And, like, the PS4 has Horizon, the Switch has Zelda, and then there's just, like, an Xbox One looking out them from the window with no game on it. It's like, oh, man.
I mean, the best thing I can think of right now is Halo Wars 2, and Halo Wars 2 is niche as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's an RTS game. Like, yeah, it has a Halo skin, but at its core, it's a console RTS game. Like, I don't... Yeah. I like the original Command and Conquer. I'll play that, but like anything beyond that, just not really my cup of tea.
The only thing I want Halo Wars for is for completing the mirror of all units.
Yeah,
because it has a dedicated all units button, which shouts all units every single time.
Oh wow.
But yeah, even 3DS had some smaller stuff, like it also has Blaster Master Zero and some other things that you want to play. So like Xbox One is the only platform currently, I think, where. So what's happening on their front right now? They cancelled Scalebound. So what's next for that platform?
Yeah, they're in a very dangerous position right now, I feel, because. They canceled Scalebound. There's besides Halo Wars 2, there's really nothing exclusive wise, coming up in the next little bit. You have E3 where they have a very, from the floor plans, they have a pretty small area compared to both Nintendo and Sony. And then you have the Scorpio looming on the horizon. And it's like, none of this makes sense. Like, why are you introducing new hardware that's supposedly going to be a lot more powerful than your base model Xbox One, but still has to play all of the base model Xbox One games, so you can't really explore that power unless you want to take the risk of higher production costs. But then when it comes down to an exclusive, it's either going to get canceled or, it'll of course be on, Windows. So I don't know. They're in a very interesting position.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're in the only position of the three that seems dangerous. I mean, they still have like their Windows stuff, like the Windows Everywhere program to back up on, but it feels like only a necessity, not their main focus right now.
Yeah, and I mean, well, see, that's the thing with them, Sony makes money because of their gaming division. Their TV division doesn't do that great. All their other divisions are weaker. Nintendo is only in it for video games and things related to video games,
right.
Outside endeavors. Microsoft is the complete opposite of Sony, where they make, their Xbox brand isn't their moneymaker. It's other things that are their moneymaker, to the point of where like shareholders are like, not really big fans of the Xbox brand. So I honestly think after the Scorpio, they're done. They're done with home consoles. They're just going to move everything to PC gaming, because essentially that's what they're already doing. You know, every exclusive for the Xbox One is also a PC game. So, like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. It's very dangerous, I feel.
Yeah, and this is coming from a guy who bought an Xbox One twice, like also the One S. So I really enjoy that console, but at the end of the day, I wish there was more games to play on it, similar to how I love the Wii U, but I wish there were more games to play on it. But like, especially with PlayStation 4 now what's in the pipeline for Switch, it feels like an embodiment of riches. I mean, I've been playing Near Automata a little bit, and I still have like Horizon at some point glooming, and then Persona 5 glooming at some point as well. What I have on Switch is already a big Zelda game, and in a few months a few other games to play, including Splatoon 2. So for me, it feels already like a really complete package in my book.
Oh yeah, and it's very different than what, you know, Microsoft and Sony are doing. So, you know, they'll benefit from that, whereas no one really knows what Microsoft is doing.
Nobody really knows, no. And that's the issue with Microsoft in a nutshell. They're like, we'll try this, I guess, and if this doesn't work, okay, I guess. That also feels for me their entire tagline of the Lumia division. Like, we'll buy Nokia, we'll see where it goes. Here are a bunch of cool phones with some really expensive camera technology in them. They're not doing well. Okay, let's drop all of this shit and do something else.
They're just, yeah, they're very almost like ADD. Like, they just bounce from one thing to another. It's like, okay, calm down. Focus on one thing. Make it work.
I mean, their flagship, in quotes, their flagship Lumia phone is now already like $150 locally.
Yeah, like, I don't get them. I mean, you can get a Lumia phone for like $5-10 in a contract. Like, it's not really doing much.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the discussion of the video games industry in a nutshell, everybody.
Right?
And of course, the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, going a little bit back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'm surprised with how much stuff they're putting in the battle mode.
I love it, though, because I was very sad when the battle mode was what it was. And, I mean, because that, honestly, was one of my, like, big, like, that was obviously one of the best Wii U games. And it was so close to being, like, one of those potential games that could have been a 10 out of 10 or whatever. But that battle mode just held it back. And now, you know, little more polished graphics, you know, 1080p, 60 frames per second docked, battle mode. It's like, okay, okay, this is gonna be big. Like, I mean, that game
modes,
5
battle modes.
Like, it's crazy. I mean, and that game sold so well on the Wii U. Like, everyone's like, oh, you know, the Switch, it's selling well because it had Zelda, you know, and people aren't going to care about it. It's like, okay, wait. You remember that game Mario Kart 8 that sold over 8 million on a 13 million install base? Yeah, like, there's a better version coming to that. Well, what's after that? Okay, well, you got Splatoon. Like, I think people are really underestimating the Switch and the power of Mario Kart. But yeah, that game's going to be so much fun. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait to bring that game along with me. Like, having Mario Kart 8 on the go seems amazing.
Well, yeah, especially when you consider the last one was 7 on the 3DS. It's like, okay, look at this jump. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't really remember all that much from the 3DS game. I should probably go back to it sometime and see how it holds up. But I don't remember much of the 3DS game at all, which is probably how that game ended up to be, because there are some good tracks in there, don't get me wrong, but for the majority of it, I wonder how much I truly remember of that game. Well, Mario Kart 8 had fantastic track design, but also was hold back by its problems. Like the battle mode was very clearly in sight, so I vividly remember all of that stuff when it really came together. And now with the battle mode that they're putting in there, I think my overall experience will be a lot more positive than it was before.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Like I can't wait for it. I mean, you already know it's gonna be really good. I mean, there's nothing that can really happen to make it, a bad game or whatever. So yeah, that's easily one of my most anticipated games of the year, and it's next month.
Oh yeah. Like a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the fact that this game doesn't have any new tracks when compared to the original and its DLC, which I don't really subscribe to that notion. I feel that you already have 48 tracks, which is a ton, and all of the DLC is already baked into that. But at the same time, I can see why people would want a couple or two more.
Yeah, I mean, they could have added stuff into it, and that would have been cool, but I don't think the game is any less appealing because it doesn't have anything. Like, it's Mario Kart, Like, it's Mario Kart and Mario Kart 8 as far as the actual racing portion and the tracks portion was arguably one of the best in the series. So it's like, okay, like, did you really play it that much where you're bored of every single 48 of the tracks? Like, come on, I've also seen people saying, oh, it should have been a $40 game. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, people seem very have short-term memory issues. Like, do people not remember all of the remasters and definitive editions when the PS4 came out? Do people not remember the Stranglehold Sleeping Dogs definitive edition that was $60? Like, when the PS4 came out, like, it was just crazy. Like, it's I'm not a fan. I'm not necessarily a fan of remasters, but this is, with the added battle mode, I think that kind of differentiates it from a standard remaster. But I don't know. Like, I don't see it as a big deal for it to be a $60 game. Like, trade in your Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. You're not playing your Wii U anymore. If you have a Switch, just trade it in and get some extra money, sell it on eBay. Like, it'll be like $10 for you, $20. Like, who cares?
No, agreed. That was the Nintendo Switch. We spent the first 38 minutes talking about the Nintendo Switch. Go figure. But it's important to talk about. It's it happened. I think I'm enjoying the Switch so far, and it will likely last for another period to come. Especially with the announcements that they made, especially also on the eShop front, it seems pretty solid. So I'm looking forward to what the system can offer in the future.
And there's a lot of the indie games that are very, very interesting that we saw in that little presentation. And there's a lot of good indie games coming out this month. Like, you've already had Blaster Master.
Yeah.
You have Pocket Fighter, which looks right up my alley. The second I saw that, I was like, this looks like a Neo Geo Pocket Color game.
You mean Pocket Rumble?
Pocket Rumble, yeah. And then when I went to Nintendo's website like a couple days ago, it was like inspired by Neo Geo Pocket Color, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. And Snake Pass. I think Snake Pass is going to be a big thing. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people and be like a really big game. It's
also the Sumo Digital's breakout game, which has done a lot of great stuff on a whole bunch of platforms, but always were under contract, and this is their first breakout game on their own, and it seems really promising.
Yeah, Jason said that because I kept telling him, I was like, go see Snake Pass, talk to them. He was like, dude, they have one of the busiest booths here. Like, there are people all over the place for this game. Like, it's crazy. And I was like, I'm not surprised. Like, I think that game's going to be something really special and interesting. And I think it's going to be a breakout in terms of sales too, across all the platforms and everything. But I think the Switch version will sell really well because of, to me, when I looked at the game, I was like, this looks a lot like a 90s rare N64 game with HD graphics. Like, that's kind of the vibe I got from it. And I think a lot of
Nice.
Switch owners will appreciate that vibe.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But yeah, that Nindy presentation that happened like a week and a half ago now was like really good. I feel the content they showed was really impressive. They started with like SteamWorld Dig 2 and then went on from there with ukulele trailer, and One of 3 is exclusive, and it went all down the list, and the only thing I could think about while watching this was holy shit.
Yeah, and a lot, like a good portion, if not most of the games are like very, soon. They're not like, oh, this is coming out in a year or something. It's like, oh, April, oh, March, oh, April, oh, May. It's like, oh, damn. Okay.
Like the latest was One of 3, and that was I think fall, but that was also like an exclusive, so of course they're gonna show that. But like the rest of the games that are likely going to be multi-platform, but first, or exclusive content on the Nintendo Switch, the latest games of those were summer, which was very impressive.
Yeah, I was really interested in the amount of timed exclusives as well. That's interesting for Nintendo to do, because you don't really see them. You never really think of, play it first on a Nintendo platform. It's always play it maybe on a Nintendo platform if it's made by someone else. Like,
and that's the tagline for the Wii U, everybody. Play it maybe on a Nintendo console.
I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, it's definitely a different vibe.
Yeah, but for me, here's the thing where it all makes sense. I think that developers who love developing on PlayStation Vita will eventually carry over to Nintendo Switch. You see that a little bit already. Certain developers have that moniker because they used to develop also versions specifically made for PlayStation Vita, and people love that as a handheld, and it's a really nice piece of kit. It just sucks that Sony never supported it in the way they should have. But the indies really carried the thing all the way through to the end we have now, and I think that most of that content will likely migrate to Switch at some point.
Yes, I agree. Full-heartedly. I think that'll be. I mean, you're already kind of seeing it with a lot of JRPG flair on the system. A lot of Square Enix is already within that initial presentation for the Switch where they showed games. You already saw more Square Enix games in that than you did the entire life cycle of the Wii U. Like, it's like, oh yeah, we're back. Hey guys, remember us? It's like, wow, okay, cool.
Well, to be honest, that wasn't also really that hard.
Right. I mean, you put like 2 games on there, you've already surpassed it. But yeah, I think I definitely see a lot of parallels with the Vita. As far as what kind of third party support you'll end up with on the system.
I feel what I think is the most disappointing so far is the reluctance of big third parties in the West.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I honestly think they got burned pretty bad by the Wii U. EA is probably especially. Granted, some of it was their fault. Mass Effect 3, when you release a Mass Effect trilogy at the same price on the other platforms, like, what do you expect to happen? But I think what they did this time was they're doing a wait and see approach. They're like, okay, the Switch, the Wii U had potential, it bombed. Let's see what kind of sales. Because like people are like, oh, where's Call of Duty on the Switch? I guarantee you, especially with the sales figures that we've been seeing so far, which will carry on through, with Mario Kart. I guarantee you Call of Duty will be on the Switch this year. I guarantee you Madden will be on the Switch this year. You've already got NBA 2K. You've already got FIFA. Like, those games are, the Western companies, if you had a freaking calculator from 1989 that for some reason that technology just became big and everyone wanted this calculator from 1989 and the calculator could play games, but they all look like crap. these Western third parties wouldn't care. They would be like, we have to put our games on this 1989 calculator. People are buying it. Software is moving on it. We have to put our games on it. And they would put their games on there. That's all Western third parties care about. You could call them, a mother effer. You could say, spit on their grave. But if your system is selling units, they will put games on your system. People seem to forget, like, the Wii had multi-plats. The Wii had a lot of Western, it had a lot of EA games. It had all your sports games.
Granted, a lot of EA games? 4.
No.
There were 4 EA games on Wii U.
No, there was more than that.
No, absolutely. There were only 4 games on Wii U. I followed that company very closely, and there was the initial Madden, the initial FIFA, Most Wanted You, and
I'm talking
Mass Effect 3.
No. I'm talking about the Wii. The Wii, not the Wii U.
Oh, sorry, the Wii.
Yeah, no, you're spot on with the Wii U. But the Wii had, it had all the Maddens. It had all
of the FIFAs.
It had all the FIFAs. It had NBA Live when that was still a thing. NBA 2K was on there. Call of Duty was on there. Like, Ubisoft was all over it, putting, terrible games on it. Some were decent. It had interesting exclusives like Mad World and, the House of the Dead games and all that stuff. Like, these companies don't care. They will put their games on anything that sells. And if the Switch sells, they'll put their games on. It's as simple as that. Like, people are getting too worked up about it initially, I feel.
I think that's definitely a case, but it's also... I look at somebody, again, back to the EA point, I look at their games that they made on the Wii U, and in my mind, they only made one video game, and that is Most Wanted You. The rest were totally forgettable. Because the Madden and the FIFAs weren't all that good on Wii U. They were lacking a whole bunch of features. And you already mentioned the Mass Effect 3 part. So for me, it was like, that is the game they put the most effort in, and I think that is the game that deserved to sell, but Nintendo never put the effort together with EA to make sure that game sold.
Yeah, that game was awesome. That game is severely underrated. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous game on the Wii U. Like, they took that original engine on the 360 and the PS3 and then put the PC textures or used different higher resolution textures on that version of the game. I actually bought that game I think when it first came out. I just remember being blown away with how good it looked, and it was a shame, but I mean, at the same time, when that came out, the system was already in a lull, and the PS3 and the Xbox 360 versions were dirt cheap. So
I totally get that. At the same time, I can't blame them for putting all of their effort in and feeling burned by it, because Criterion was really the ones who were really behind this entire project, and then eventually they got nothing out of it.
Yep. Oh no, I mean, I totally agree. That's got to be a bad leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah. And I think that is the games that deserved better on Wii U. For all the crap that Ubisoft gets, they still put out some really decent games at the start. Like Zombie U was awesome. And they really fought this all the way through. And I feel that sort of game is also missing at launch currently, the games that Ubisoft would usually bring at the launch. Because this is the first launch in a while where they only brought one game to it.
Right.
And that feels weird to me. Ubisoft seems like a company that would support Nintendo all the way, and they kind of are, later down the line, but right now, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're totally right with that. It is kind of interesting because Ubisoft is always there for system launches, and all you got was Just Dance, and then we're bringing Steep at some point, which is such a random game to bring to the Switch, but okay.
Have fun playing an online multiplayer game where you're playing on the go, dipshit.
Yeah. It's very strange.
I don't know how that will work, but that's their choice. But it seems, the whole situation seems weird to me. At least I expected just slightly more at that launch. And I'm not saying that what they're likely going to bring is bad. I feel that with Steep and Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, they're not bringing actually bad stuff to the platform at all, and focusing over quality over quantity, which is something that's a hard lesson that Ubisoft needed to learn the last couple of years. So good on them. But at the same time, I did expect at least somewhat more from the get-go. But again, that's their choice. I can't really blame them for it, because let's be honest, they were one of the only companies that continuously put out games on the Wii U, and I don't think they sold particularly well.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, I really liked Splinter Cell on the Wii U. I liked Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4 on the Wii U. Like, I thought they were good games. Like, I actually played Assassin's Creed 4 a lot on the Wii U, but yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame anyone for being cautious with I mean, because it's not only a Nintendo platform, a Nintendo home console after the Wii U's, bombing, but it's something completely different. So, if I mean, even me personally, when I saw the debut of the Switch, where they did that little teaser commercial sort of thing, I remember the situation like it was, 5 minutes ago. It was 9:58 at work. I said, look, I'm taking a break. I need to watch something on the computer, because the trailer went up at 10 at my time.
Right.
My boss was like, okay, whatever. I went over to the computer and I watched it, and I immediately took out my phone and I messaged Jason. I was like, Nintendo is done. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I want a powerful home console. What are they doing? This is asinine. I'm not on board. I hate Nintendo. I hate everything. And he was like, oh, I thought it looked pretty cool. I was like, shut up, you're an idiot. And then just as time sort of went on, because it was just so different, it was so weird to me. Right. And then as time went on, like, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not too bad. Oh, well, that's actually pretty cool. Oh, wow, I really like this part of it. Oh, whoa, hey. And now I love this stupid thing. And I mean, I think that's how it's going to be with a lot of these Western companies. It's like, okay, well, it's weird. It's coming off of the Wii U. Is it going to sell? And now it's, the fastest selling Nintendo console in North American history.
And also in Europe.
and yeah, and Europe. And like, it's like, whoa, okay. And then you have, Breath of the Wild, which a lot of people were looking forward to, of course, as the fastest selling or the biggest selling launch game on a Nintendo platform. And then you're sitting there thinking to yourself, damn, that outsold a Mario game, and Mario games always outsell Zelda games. Look at it, any mainline Mario game on any platform where there's a Zelda game, Mario always sells it, usually by double or triple. And it's like, this game just outsold Super Mario 64, which you could say that the the Switch launch was dry, but at least there was Bomberman too. You didn't have nothing on the N64. You had Mario 64 and you liked it. That was
Wasn't there one more game next to Super Mario 64?
Pilot Wing 64.
It was a really good game.
It was a good game,
yeah.
But it's like, okay, you're buying the N64 for Super Mario 64.
That's true.
There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and that still managed to outsell it. So it's like, you know, these Western companies are like, okay, we see you, Nintendo. Keep this up for a little bit, and we'll play ball. But there's actually something I wanted to bring up and talk about, since we're on the subject of Western game developers, anyways, and this is a Western game, Skyrim. Right. What the hell are they doing with this? In my mind, the only way this makes any sort of sense, because the story is, according to Todd Howard, that Nintendo approached Bethesda about putting Skyrim on the Switch. The only way this works, in my mind, is if there's some Nintendo-themed crap in it, right? Like, they have to do that. Like, if you can't have Skyrim come out this fall. Granted, the portability aspect is nice, but you can't have Skyrim come out this fall for $60 with nothing extra, no Nintendo Switch exclusive stuff, and expect it to sell, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, at the same time, they haven't even told us if it's based on the special edition or the original.
Right, and that at least gives me a little hope. And I know that sounds weird, but the fact that they haven't, they've been asked it and they said that they can't say yet, that at least gives me a little hope that this version's going to have something unique in it and something special. Because I just don't foresee Nintendo wasting their time going to Bethesda and saying, we want Skyrim. And then Bethesda being like, oh yeah, this is totally worth our time to port it to this, console. And,
For me, the conversation would have been like, whoa, Nintendo, why are you contacting us? You never contacted us before. What you doing here, buddy?
But that's actually a whole nother subject, is Nintendo approaching these companies, because that's how Super Bomberman R came to be, because they went to Konami and said, we wanted a Bomberman game. So that's a whole nother entity of itself. It's like, wow, Nintendo, you learned some humility and you learned how to be humble, and that you can't just throw your name on something and it sells. You actually got to play ball with these people. You got to be nice.
You got so humble, you went to the most evil corporation of Japan.
Seriously, like that's a crazy level. But this has to be something, Fire Emblem stuff and Zelda stuff and all sorts of stuff, because Skyrim is just not going to sell this fall. You throw some Nintendo crap in there, I'm on board. I'm interested. I have Skyrim on my PS3. I don't care about anything. The game will look pretty damn similar to that. It'll look better, I'm sure, than the PS3 version, but it'll be pretty similar. I paid $5 for that Skyrim. You're going to have to convince me to spend $60 on this, but it's going to be interesting. That, since everything was shown and everything was announced and everything, that is the one third-party game that I've been like, there has to be something more to it.
No, I agree. How much do you think I can bet $10 on this? I think that they will also mention that Charles Martinet actually voices one of the dragons, because that's actually the case. Charles Martinet actually voices one of the dragons that you fight in the game. I think they're gonna mention it somewhere in the marketing.
Yeah, there has to be more to it than just a simple port of Skyrim that you could take with you anywhere. Like, yes, in the grand scheme of things, with a lot of upcoming multi-platform games, that definitely is the Switch's advantage, because you look at the PS4 and you look at the Xbox One. If you own both of those, it's pretty much, okay, well, which version of the game is a little bit, which looks the best? Which controller do I like better? But the Switch can take a little bit of hit in graphics,
right,
because you can take it wherever the hell you want to go. So that's what makes it unique for upcoming, multi-platform games. But a 5+ year old game, there has to be more.
Yeah. I don't doubt it. They have to do something to make that interesting.
And another game is NBA 2K. Because as much as I love Nintendo, the reason I own a PlayStation 4 and I always buy another console from another manufacturer is because there are two genres of games that I need the best graphics in. Sports and realistic racing games. If I'm playing it, I want it to look the best as humanly possible.
Sure.
So that is another game that's going to be a tough sale for me. If that comes out looking like an Xbox 360 game, no. You better put some time and effort into that game, 2K. I want a highly polished version. Because what's actually very interesting is, I know you could probably care less about NBA games, because
I like basketball, so I care.
Oh, okay, good. But what's interesting is, they've pretty much, I remember portable, I've had so many basketball games on my PSP because I loved being able to play it anywhere. And I was always like, damn, I really wish they would release one on the DS. And then they never, there was the Mario basketball game, which was fantastic with the Final Fantasy characters. I love that stupid game. But there never was like a simulation game. And then when the 3DS came out, I was like, great, they're going to start doing it again. And then they never did it. And then same thing with the Vita. The Vita doesn't have any NBA games anymore on it because everything's gone to mobile. So this is like the first real portable realistic basketball game on a handheld console hybrid in a while. So, I mean, it's actually pretty interesting because that is sort of a forgotten genre. I mean, portable sports games in general are dead. Everything moved over to the iPads and Android tablets and mobile devices. But they suck because there's not a freaking controller.
I mean, even if you can technically connect a controller to it, a Bluetooth controller.
It doesn't come with one, though.
Yeah, but they don't even offer support for that. Which
exactly.
I think they should on mobile for those people who want to have a tablet with them on the go. But now we have the Switch, so hopefully they will do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that, if they put enough time and effort into the game and make it... I don't expect PS4 graphics on a sports game. I don't expect that. But right. I want it to be a step up over the PS3. This system is more powerful than the Wii U. And, the Wii U, I know what the Wii U is capable of. All I have to do is look at Need for Speed Most Wanted, which we talked about earlier, to see, that there can be a decent difference between a Wii U and a PS3 game. I want to see that same sort of thing. It doesn't have to look as good as the PS4 version because I can take it anywhere I go. But don't make it based on a PS3 version or, using that engine. Like, just dumb it down. Don't take the PS4 version and dumb it down. Don't slightly upgrade a PS3 version. That's a perfect analogy. That's what I'm looking for.
I agree. I definitely agree. And also kind of need to custom build it for the platform instead of looking at the blueprint of either PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3. Which
is supposedly what EA is doing with FIFA, but I don't trust them.
I don't trust it either because they recently said, it's gonna be the FIFA 18 experience. In my mind, it says, okay, so it's gonna be a slimmed down version of FIFA 18. Thanks.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to completely rule out EA and say you can do never anything right. But I don't really trust them with this. And I never have. And if they prove me wrong, that's great. At the same time, I look back at the launch version of FIFA on Wii U, and I think you didn't have the proper physics engine. You kind of screwed up how the game is played because it felt kind of floaty, especially with the Wii U gamepad. And you put in very gimmicky things like touching the touchscreen for making a goal. And that is neat at first, but we need to have the proper FIFA experience if you want to do this justice. I just realized we spent just an hour just talking about Switch. Luckily we didn't have any questions this week, so that was alright. But it's already over an hour. But is there something beyond Switch that you still want to talk about before we wrap this up?
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard because literally just like the past week, it's just been all Switch in my household. Like, if I'm filming, if I'm writing, if I'm talking to people, it's like Switch.
I mean, that makes sense, yeah.
I love the stupid system. I didn't think I would love it, but then... I actually have a funny story. When I was picking up my pre-order at Best Buy,
right.
First off, I live in North Carolina. I live in a podunk little North Carolina town that you're either a millionaire and you live on the golf course, or you're poor as hell and live in a trailer. There's really no like middle class around here. Sure. And I pre-ordered my Switch the second I could from Best Buy's website and did in-store pickup because my Best Buy didn't do a midnight launch. And so the Best Buy opened up at 10 a.m. And so I left my house probably like 10, 15 minutes early. And I was like, I'll get there like 5 minutes early, just hang out in the parking lot or whatever. And I pull up to Best Buy and there's a line of people outside of the store. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I was like, there's no way. There must be something else going on. there's no way in this little podunk ass town that I live in that these people want the Switch. And sure enough, every single one of those people wanted the Switch. And I think they only had about 20 systems. And so at the door, they were giving out a flyer. And whatever flyer you got, it was either a neon color or a black, the gray color.
Right.
And you didn't really have any option. And there was a lady that came in right after me. And I got in line and I was like, you do have the pre-ordered systems, right? And they're like, yeah, you're fine. But we're now officially out of Switch systems. And a lady came in and was like, am I too late? And he was like, man, we just gave out the last one. I thought this lady was going to cry. Like, she was so distraught. You could tell she was like buying it for her kid or whatever. Right. And so she's like, well, is there anything, is there any, you're sure? And the guy was like, yeah, sorry. And so she goes outside and she's like getting in her car. And there's this guy in front of me, this black dude. And he's just like, man, I'm just trying to pay my bill. What the hell are y'all doing here? I was like, oh, there's a new video game console out today. New Nintendo system. He was like, oh, okay. And one of the floor employees comes up to the manager and he's like, oh, somebody decided not to get a Switch. We have one extra. And the black dude just like lit up like a Christmas tree. He was like, what y'all doing? Y'all need to go out there and go get that white lady. And this dude just grabs the piece of paper and runs out of the store. And he's just looking for this lady out in the parking lot. I'm live streaming the whole thing on Facebook, just cracking up. And, he ends up finding her as she's pulling out of the parking lot. The manager ended up going outside too with the guy, and they ended up finding her, and she ended up getting a Switch. And the guy was just like laughing about it, and I was like, man, that was hilarious. That was really
that's awesome.
Funny.
That's really awesome. Like sadly, we don't have those kinds of experience anymore in the Netherlands. It used to be that we would have midnight launches for Nintendo systems, but they don't really do them anymore. So my pickup experience was super vanilla. I just went to the store at 10 a.m. There was no line or anything. I just walked into my video game store, picked up my Switch and accessories, and left.
I had to wait like 30 minutes in line. Like, that's how, the lines were slow too, but yeah, I had to wait like 30 minutes. I was just live streaming on Facebook, just talking to people.
Right.
Yeah, I have no idea why there's a line.
Well, that's also, in my book, that's a very typical the true American experience of standing in a line and getting it. Here, it's like it's too casual for words. Like, I have a pre-order, just pick it up and leave. That's the entire experience for me here.
I mean, I kind of wish it was that, because I hated standing in line. And there was some guy, like, causing problems, like this older white guy just like causing all these problems, and like that line was just like they had like 4 lines open. I still had to wait like 30 minutes. I was like, this is crazy. He was just causing all sorts of problems, and I just kept making fun of him on my live stream.
Right.
It was interesting, man. It was interesting.
Because for me, it's like I go into the store, and the people who work there who know me said, "Hey, dude, are you here to pick up your Switch? Yeah, here you go, buddy. Here's all your stuff. Cool. Here's your payment. See you later." Which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of nice. You just walk in, walk out, bye, see you later.
Yeah. And yeah, just pick up my stuff. I was literally the first one to get it because everybody else just simply has to work on a Friday, and this is my work, so I just pick up my Switch, and that's part of my day job, pretty much. So yeah, I just picked up my Switch. I stepped back into the car. My mom actually drove me to the store, which was lovely of her. She was like, "Oh, you gonna pick up the new system?" I was like, "Yeah. I will go along with you. I want to see what it's like. I heard so much stuff about it, especially on those TV commercials." It's like, cool, let's go. And then we just picked up the stuff and immediately went back.
Yeah, my mom, like I said, she had came up from Florida to visit with me, and she was like, "So what's the big deal about this?" Because when she came in the house, I was sitting there playing it, on TV mode. She's like, "Oh, so what's the big deal about this? What's is there something special about it?" And I was like, "Oh, watch this." And I put the controller down, and I walked up and I took it out of the dock, and she was like, "Oh, wow!" And then I put it back in the dock, and she was like, "Oh, wow!" It's like it's very awe-inspiring when you first see it.
I actually played a whole bunch of 1-2 Switch with my mother, and she was just looking at the controllers like, are these things actually in the controller? What? She was really looking at. We were playing the ball count game. She was really looking from. Is there something in this controller that is unusual? I think I'm feeling the balls that are in here. It's like, no, this is how the controller feels. It's like, wow, nice. My dad used to play a lot of video games, so my mother is used to watching them. So especially with me now as well. So she has no problem with it. But it's like the way she participates in video games is really, really different from anybody else in my family, because she will look at the controller and try to interact with it, but this is the first time she was like really engulfed with it and just looking at awe at the thing. It's like,
right,
wow, what, huh? I love that every single bit of it, and that's why that's where I want the Switch is good for. I'm not sure if it's good in any other setting, but if you want to show somebody who hasn't anything interesting to say about video games, something magical, you put that on, give that person a Joy-Con, and just see for 5 minutes how or he or she looks at the controller.
Yeah, like it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
Well, talking about sports, and then we will wrap it up. But I played the 3DS game Mario Sports Superstars.
Is that coming out? When is that coming out over there?
It's out. It came out yesterday, March 10th.
Okay.
Because we're recording this on your March 10th and my March 11th. Yeah, that came out yesterday. And I gave it a 5.5.
Oh man, that's not good. Is it better than Mario and Sonic at the Olympics?
I actually like that 3DS version, kinda. Like I gave it a 6. I gave it a 6 out of 10. So I gave this lower.
Oh no, that's not good.
And I will tell you why. Like, did you ever play the Camelot games like tennis and golf?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they copied all of the elements from the 3DS games for those two sports.
Oh, that's lazy.
And golf only has 4 courses with 9 holes each.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah.
Baseball is the most worst thing in this package, because it's basically hitting and batting, and that's about the things that you do.
No fielding?
You can do fielding, but it's only a manual which you have to activate yourself. And B, it's extremely bad, because basically you pick up the ball, just push one of the 4 A, B, X, Y buttons, and that's how you throw it to one of the places on the field.
Oh wow.
Like soccer/football and horse racing are kind of okay, but they are the most original stuff in this package. Like football is not really completely original, but at least it feels kind of really decent to play. And horse racing has like 12 tracks going for it, which is kind of nice. But the rest of the package feels super slapdash.
Mm. Yeah, because it comes out. I think it comes out at the end of the month here. Right. And I was kind of nervous. I was like, maybe Nintendo's not going to send me this. What's going on? Because I saw all your videos and I was like, what's going on? But then I was like, it's coming out earlier in Europe. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, it's coming out March 23rd in North America, and we got it a week after a Switch launch. So that's usually the indication of, well, Nintendo of Europe has a plan to bury this game completely.
Yeah. It's like, hey, here's the Nintendo Switch. And, some weird Mario game. Don't worry about it.
I actually got Mario Sports Superstars before I got a Switch in. So for me, it's like, my experience was playing this very mediocre sports game and then immediately went into Zelda.
Right.
That was a roller coaster and a half. But yeah, that game was disappointing.
That is disappointing, because I was actually hopeful, because like Strikers is awesome. The Mario Hoops 3-on-3 was great. You know, I used to love all those games, but it's just like they're losing their luster lately. That was a lot of alliteration. Losing luster lately.
Well, for me, it's mostly Camelot that's losing their luster. I feel that like looking back at it, like Mario Golf World Tour feels like a fluke now, because that game was so very well made, and then the games that came after it feel, nothing really special. Like the elements they've done for Mario Sports Superstars are at best, and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash is a game we don't talk about anymore.
Right.
So there you go. I guess that's gonna end it then for this week. We just mostly talked about Nintendo Switch, which is A-okay because that thing came out. But usually on the show we're talking more about personal things. But hey, we at least had an anecdote about our mom, so that's okay.
Yeah, see? We covered most of everything.
Most of everything. Where can people find you, good sir?
You can find me on enthusiast.gg, which is sort of our more open platform. If you post there and you get views, you can make money, so you should definitely check it out. I know a lot of people have made a lot of money because our pay rates are not calculated right now, so you have a good chance of making some decent coin. You can find me on Nintendo Enthusiast. We are actually revamping that website, and we're going to actually have it in conjunction with enthusiast.gg. You can find me on Nintendo Enthusiast YouTube channel, and you can find me on my personal YouTube channel, RGT85, Twitter at Shawn Long 85. Yeah, that's pretty much where I am all the time.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter, which is at NintenDaan. That's NintenDaan. You can find usually links to all of the stuff that I do there. So go Nintendo World Report, NF Magazine, what have you. And my YouTube channel. What do you want more to say, really? That's Coffee Talk for this week. We thank you all so much for watching, and we hope you have a lovely couple of days more with The Legend of Zelda. What any else you're playing? There's good stuff out there. Go have fun, gosh darn it.